What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie of the Montreal Gazette. Oh, James!
Oh, David!
A hat trick of political conventions this weekend.
Oh, for crying out loud, you know, it's like, but it's so funny though, because when you look at how these things unfolded, the first message is they're perfect examples as to where the parties are at this particular point in time. But it also suggests to me, anyway, when I see the denouement and we get the bottom line here, it's going to be a long 2 years between now and the next general election.
You're so right.
You know, but I got to tell you, it was I did a double take when I saw Tommy Chouinard's piece out of the CAQ convention on the weekend, and he discovers that he's the press's national affairs correspondent, and he discovers that, you know, the delegates had actually been given a message from the high command saying don't speak to journalists. And so, okay, right off the bat, we're going some paranoia. The theme was supposed to be, you know, protecting Quebecers from the online threat. And indeed, even though, less than a month ago, Francois Legault was dismissing in the National Assembly as pretty much ridiculous the idea of having a minimum age for online access. Now it's something they tend to embrace, although the bottom line, apparently, we're not going to turn the legislation. We're going to have, you know, a committee. We'll look into it, and maybe we'll do something about it. On the other hand, maybe as people move on and something else becomes a priority, they'll talk about something else. But the whole idea, I think that, you know, it's like shut up. Like everyone is just like shut up. To the rank and file, to delegates, I think that speaks volumes about where the party is and where it perceives itself to be. And frankly, David, I maintain that I know that it is a one-man show, and Francois Legault thus far has been able to exercise what appears to be a very effective discipline over the rank and file, and certainly over the caucus. But I think there is a law of diminishing returns on that, and I think sooner or later you're going to start hearing some people pipe up, if not the Premier himself, saying, you know what, I've looked at my future and I think I'm just going to call it a day and leave while I'm still, you know, in the low 20s. So yeah, I think that was the message I got from the CAQ, certainly.
I thought, and I agree with everything you're saying, but what I would propose as an and is that his inner circle, you know, like his chief of staff, Martin Koskinen, Brigitte Legault, the director of the party, they're still playing for a competitive election in 26, whoever is at the head of the party. And I get that what they found out with their polling is that there's an opening on these socially conservative family middle class issues like this one, where the other parties aren't really active on, and they're trying to maybe, you know, triangulate here and find issues where they could actually get back in touch with their electorate. Does that make any sense to you?
It does. However, yeah, I would respectfully submit that after 6 years of essentially telling anyone who will listen, here's what you should be afraid of. Here's another thing you should be afraid of. We are the only people who can help you with this. You're under siege. You're surrounded. And then I think to try and shift gears into a more reasoned, family-oriented, actual stuff people give a damn about party, I think it may be too little too late. I think the CAQ's branding is such that unless they have, I was going to say an adversary, that's the wrong word, unless they have an enemy they can point the finger at.
A nemesis.
Unless they have a villain and say, listen, if we're not here, this person or what they represent or where they're from is going to place you all in tremendous, you know, identity danger and maybe even worse. And that is, they have not stopped from day one, David. And if there was, you know, that's why I tend to balk at that idea that, I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to try and reinvent themselves. I just don't think anyone is going to buy into it. And quite frankly, their base, that hard 25 to 30% living out in the regions and living out de loin in the regions, may turn their backs on them and say, listen, what happened? You're supposed to be protecting me from these English people that I've never seen, or these immigrants that I've never seen, or these places that I've never been, or these ideas that I've never heard of. You're supposed to be protecting me against that. You're not supposed to be talking about some city guy's kids being online. You know, this is, what are you guys about? So yeah, I think to a certain extent, and I've said it before, François Legault really has painted himself into a political corner using his tongue as a brush.
Now let's go to Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois. Do you think he's out of the woods?
Is he? Okay, to a certain extent, he won his bet, because if the grandly named Saguenay Declaration had not been accepted, clearly the number one topic wouldn't have been the CAQ. It would have been who's going to lead the
leadership race.
QS. But here's the thing. I got the impression, and I'm going to be dating myself here, that even though it seems, the declaration was accepted, and now they're going to be waiting for what may be a coronation for the female co-spokesperson, because this idea of complete equity in all things remains a mainstay of the party's identity. I couldn't help but get the feeling I was perhaps seeing the creation not of a new version of Québec Solidaire, but perhaps of a Parti Québécois, say mid-1980s to mid-1990s, where, in public everyone's smiling, but the knives are going to be out all the time. If you stray from party orthodoxy, if you get enough people angry over the fact that you're trying to be a little too pragmatic, it won't be an open letter. It'll be leaks to the press. It'll be various, kinds of nattering, a whispering campaign trying to undermine the leadership of someone like Nadeau-Dubois in favor of maintaining party orthodoxy. It may not happen, but man, I got to tell you, David, I got a major league vibe off of the convention. That is exactly what we're going to be seeing in the months to come.
Yep, I have the same feeling. Let's now move to the Liberals. What were your thoughts on this weekend in Bromont?
It's really great, isn't it? Because you're watching this exercise, and they're having it's almost like the greatest hits week. It's like here's Jean Charest, and here's Philippe Couillard, and here's Daniel Johnson, and do you remember when this song was number one? Here's the thing: anything that happens is irrelevant, because they are not bound, David, any leader is not bound by what any convention decides to do. Right. But I heard you speaking last week with Aaron about something very interesting. You mentioned that the Charest faction still seems to be running the table.
Yes, that's my
pretty
feeling.
much in terms of party organization. But on the other hand, at least their batting record is better than anybody else's. I mean, they were in power for a fair amount of time. They did get a lot done. They all kind of left under a cloud in that ridiculous 2012 election. But I'm kind of wondering how tough it's going to be to dislodge that faction's grip on the party, given where they are and given what the challenges are.
So you raise, as usual, a very valid point on the past performance of the Charest faction. What was very interesting is that Saturday night was about honoring Philippe Couillard, who was at the middle of the picture with all the former leaders, Jean Charest, not Philippe Couillard.
Yeah.
And symbolism counts. Everybody noticed that for sure in the room. But the other thing is that the same people that are calling the shots right now in the Liberal Party establishment were the people that organized Jean Charest during his horrendous leadership run against Pierre Poilievre in 2022 when he lost 72 out of 78 ridings in Quebec.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling they're not necessarily connected to what the future is about. They're again, they were very good once upon a time, but are they the people to take the Liberal Party into the 21st century? I'm not sure.
I know we're running out of time, but I got to tell you, when it comes to Jean Charest's bid for the Conservative Party against Pierre Poilievre, I think a lot of us, I'll certainly include myself in that number, I think a lot of us didn't really know what had happened to the Conservative Party in over the past couple of years and Poilievre's influence on it. I don't think if that had been, even Charest had been aware of it, he would have tried. But to a certain extent, I'm really wondering now whether, given what happened with that leadership bid, whether Charest actually thinks he may have dodged a bullet.
Well, maybe. Oh, and on that, I totally agree. But in terms of pure organization, Poilievre's people are clearly using technology and ways to do things that Charest people haven't even heard of yet. In terms of mobilizing, using social media, connecting with electors' key core concerns that will drive the votes. The Liberals right now with the Charest establishment are in 1998, in my opinion, compared to...
Yeah, I agree completely. And you know what? That's not a good place to be right now, especially given these crucial 2 or year and a half where they've got to rebrand, reinvent, and quite frankly, outplay their competition. I still don't look at the Liberal Party as being a factor in anything whatsoever thus far.
To be continued. Thank you so much, James.
That amount.